Dollar, dollar, dollar. Dirty money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Your was good original groove. It's your boy DJ New Kid, your girl.
Sarah Nicole.
We're back on the channel with another
Kid and C original. You do enough. You do enough, okay?
Welcome back to the channel, man. We got the most dangerous prisoners in the U.S. Who you think could be on this?
I have no clue.
Like, are we talking death row prisoners,
like,
or like we talking about it's way different like levels to this? You know what I'm saying?
I'm ready to see, but I have no clue.
All right. So with that being said, man, before we get into it, make sure y'all always go ahead and check out the links in the description box down below. You already know where to go. If you want to further support, you can always just check out down below. You'll see what to do. Also, we always take this time to salute to our comments. So salute to the comment of the day.
Salute to you.
Also, man, if you enjoyed today's video, man, lock it in with a thumbs up, man. We highly appreciate that as well. So with that being said, man, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's see what it's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I've been ready.
You sure?
10 most dangerous prisoners in the US. Number 10, Michael Rudkin. Let's start with Michael Rudkin, a former BOP guard at the Federal Correctional Institution in Danbury, Connecticut. Starting with a guard, I hear you ask. What did he do? Well, if Orange is the New Black taught us anything, it's that relationships between inmates and guards are pretty common. But Sam, that's just a show, I hear you say, and besides, guard-inmate affairs are not allowed, but that doesn't make Rudkin a dangerous criminal, and you're right. But you see, Rudkin not only established a physical relationship with the inmate, but they also plotted together to murder his wife. Rudkin was charged in 2008 and received a 180-month prison sentence. But the real problem hadn't even started. While serving his sentence at FCI Coleman in Florida, Rudkin encouraged other prisoners to kill his ex-wife, her new boyfriend, his ex-intimate lover, and a federal investigator. Predictably, after this, he was charged with multiple offences, and in April 2010 was convicted again. He was sentenced to 1,080 months, or 90 years, in prison. Number 9, Ramsey.
Yo.
What the world?
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah. And then he aspired to kill his wife, her boyfriend, his former lover, and probably the dude that locked him up. Man, you could just did your little time and got out, bruh.
Saw 90 years in prison. Number 9, Ramzi Youssef. Like the majority of the criminals in this list, as you'll see, Youssef ended up in Supermax Florence Prison in Colorado. How'd you get the ticket though for this max security prison? In Youssef's case, first of all, you must be a convicted terrorist. In fact, Youssef was one of the main perpetrators of the World Trade Center bombing of 1993, the 1994 bombing of the Philippine Airlines Flight 434, and also conspired in the Bajinka plot of 1995. It was in 1995 that Youssef was arrested by the Pakistani Inter-Services Intelligence and US Diplomatic Security Service in Islamabad. With a top terrorist resume like this, he was extradited to the United States, where he received 2 life sentences with a bonus of 240 years. Who knows, with good behaviour, those 240 years may halve. In any case, Youssef's situation has worsened due to his lack of cooperation with the government. Additionally, in all these years, he never appeared to be remorseful or even ashamed of his actions. And that makes a dangerous criminal. Number 8, Eric Rudolph. Rudolph is another terrorist sent to the Supermax Federal Prison in Florence in 2005. Rudolph was convicted for a series of anti-abortion and homophobic-motivated bombings across the southern US between 1996 to 98. He killed 3 people and injured a total of 150 others. However, despite the series of bombings perpetrated by Rudolph, he's mostly known for the Olympic Park bombing of 1996. He's also well known for having spent 5 years on the FBI top 10 fugitive list. Rudolph gave quite some trouble to the FBI. It wasn't easy to trace him. Described by the Federal Bureau as a skilled outdoorsman, Rudolph managed to elude law enforcement officials for 7 years while hiding out in the mountains. Eventually, he was arrested in 2003 with a joint collaboration between federal and local investigators while rummaging through a trash bin behind a rural grocery store in Murphy, North Carolina. Since he ultimately pleaded guilty and it took a while to get there, he was sentenced to multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole, but he likely only pleaded guilty to avoid a potential death sentence.
I remember his because remember I watched that Netflix series and they was it Netflix or another TV show? But it was something about talking about him. I think it was Netflix.
I remember his name for some reason.
Yeah.
7. Ted Kaczynski. Kaczynski, who you'll probably remember as the Unabomber, represents one of the most fascinating serial killer cases in US history. We don't have as much time here to go into as much detail as, say, a Netflix documentary, but we'll do our best to analyse such an intriguing and complex figure. First of all, Kaczynski was a genius, a luminary mathematics professor who graduated from Harvard in 1962. He chose to abandon his academic career in 1969 because he wanted to pursue a more primitive lifestyle, with a utopian plan in mind. His plan began taking form between 1978 and 1995 with a series of nationwide bombings aimed at targeting people involved with modern technology. Kaczynski's goal was to open society's eyes, attacking industrialization while advocating a nature-centered form of anarchism. He was only arrested in 1996 and is currently serving 8 life sentences, without the possibility of parole at Supermax prison in Florence. Yep, that one again. There, he has befriended Ramzi Youssef and other bombings perpetrators. The gang have spent time discussing religion and politics. Some of the most ingenious and dangerous bombers in the world bringing their minds together. That's not frightening at all.
What you see is, see, all they need is a ounce of gateway. They getting up out that motherfucker, man. Everybody, you know what I'm saying?
But yeah.
Ooh, hey, bro.
That's crazy.
I just want to do more. Well, I'll tell you.
Number 6. Terry Nichols. I know that at this point, no matter how fascinating and unique each case may be, you've probably had enough of criminal bombers, but bear with me while we explore the story of the last bomber in this video. Terry Nichols, born in 1955, built his life on short-term jobs, jumping from one to another. Then in 1988, he joined the US Army because, you know, keep your options open. This led to an unfortunate friendship. It was in the Army that Nichols met Timothy McVeigh. After less than a year of service, Nichols requested a hardship discharge. His career in the Army was over, but not his relationship with McVeigh. The two planned the bombing of an attack of an FBI building in Oklahoma in 1995. The bomb Nichols built killed 168. McVeigh was sentenced to death, but Nichols was given 61 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. He's incarcerated, guess where? At the Supermax Florence prison. The prison houses only male inmates who are deemed the most dangerous threat to national security. As you probably guessed by now, its harsh conditions have earned the prison a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for most secure prison in the world. In fact, prisoners are allowed out of their cells only for limited social and legal visits, medical treatment, and a few hours of weekend indoor or outdoor recreation. Number 5.
You know, these folks, like, again, why would you house it? You know what I'm saying? You like, why would you house, but if it's supposed to be the most secure, but everything always got its loopholes.
Well, I guess it's been this long, and we ain't heard nothing.
Lisa Montgomery. Now that we've reached the middle of our list and we've finally put some bombers behind us, things get a little creepy. Well, okay, seriously creepy. Which leads us to the story of Lisa Montgomery. It was 2004 when the small Missouri town of Skidmore, of about 300 people, was hit by a crime scandal. Pregnant 23-year-old Bobby Jo Stinnett was found dead in her home on a Thursday afternoon by her mother. Crime scene investigators later determined an in vitro baby was stolen. Told you it was creepy. Investigators soon traced 36-year-old Lisa Montgomery, who was found responsible for the murder of Stinnett. As reported by Montgomery's husband, the woman called him on Thursday afternoon, saying she'd gone shopping and then went into labour and had a baby, and he believed her. Anyway, Montgomery was officially sentenced to death in March 2012. She's currently waiting for her death at Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas, where she's the only woman with a federal death sentence incarcerated at that facility. Number 4. Thomas Silverstein. Thomas Silverstein died last year at 67. He was a violent white supremacist who entered prison in 1971 at 19 where he was sent to San Quentin prison in California for armed robbery and never got out. Surprisingly, he's most famous not for the crimes that brought him to prison, but for his behaviour behind bars in the following years. So, from San Quentin, he was moved to a facility in Kansas, where he was convicted for killing an inmate and moved to a maximum security prison in Marion, Illinois. The murder conviction was overturned. However, while there, he ended up killing 2 inmates and fatally stabbed a guard. This happened in around 1987 and bought him a ticket to a federal prison in Atlanta, where he was put in solitary confinement until his death. In fact, it's believed that he served the longest term in solitary confinement in the federal penitentiary system. Quite a record. Seriously, just think how dangerous you'd have to be living in solitary confinement in a supermax prison from 1987 to 2019.
Woo!
Number 3.
Baby.
Over 30 years in solitary. Ain't no way.
Honey.
You know, like you legit ain't got no way.
What?
Vincent Basciano. I know for many of you the incarceration of an American mobster may look like a small thing compared to some of the other criminals here. After all, Vincent Basciano was convicted for illegal gambling and the murder of another mobster. So it's not like he's a threat to the rest of the world, right? Well, wrong. Let's dispel the common belief that mobsters only kill themselves and that mafia bosses are funny and cool characters to idolise. The mafia is not what you see in the movies. All kinds of people die each year because of them. Not only law enforcement or the authorities. So yeah, a mobster must be considered a threat globally, particularly if he's affiliated with one of the biggest family clans in the American mafia, the Bonanno family. Basciano was first convicted in 2006 for racketeering. The following year, a second trial found him guilty of the murder of Frank Santoro, who tried to kidnap Basciano's son. It's determined that Basciano has also conspired to kill prosecutor Greg Andres. So in 2011, Basciano was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. But a man with that many connections is still dangerous even on the inside. Number 2. Larry Hoover. US criminal gangs may well be as dangerous as other mafia organisations. Larry Hoover was born in 1950 in Jackson, Mississippi. However, only a few years later, his family moved to Chicago, Illinois, when Hoover met members of street gangs. He was only 13 when he joined the Supreme Gangsters. By his early 20s, Hoover had been in and out of prison several times, but when in 1973 he and another gangster disciple, Andrew Howard, were charged with murdering dealer William Young, his fate was met. He was sentenced to 150 to 200 years in prison at the maximum security Stateville Correctional Facility in Crest Hill, Illinois. However, surprisingly, behind bars his power grew and grew, and so did his gang members. He recruited up to 30,000 members and sold more than $100 million of drugs a year. He even took control over the warden's office, which soon translated to riots and uprisings within the prison system. So in 1995 he was convicted of drug conspiracy and extortion and moved to, yep, you guessed it, the Supermax Florence prison. Number 1. Richard Lee McNair.
I ain't gonna cap though. I ain't think Larry Hoover was gonna be on this one. I was like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little crazy mom was on this mom,
Yeah.
but I ain't. And he number 2.
Yeah.
The Supermax Florence prison. Number 1. Richard Lee McNair. We've reached the end of our journey through the most dangerous prisons in the US, and we've saved the most peculiar for last. What makes Richard Lee McNair different from the others aren't his crimes, burglary, murder, and attempted murder to be precise, but rather his ability to trick the authorities. From the moment he was arrested for robbery in 1987, he never stopped escaping. He first escaped using a lip balm to grease the handcuffs and squeeze out. See, beauty products can come in really handy. Second time, he crawled out of a ventilation duct. The third time, and this is pure genius, he got into a crate and mailed himself out of prison. Once out of the prison walls, he even convinced a police officer he was a casual jogger just running nearby. Oh, and he travelled to Canada twice to evade capture. However, as hilarious as this sounds, McNair's escape attempts made him one of the top 15 fugitives wanted by US Marshals. It's not surprising to hear then that he has spent most of his 2-term life sentences at Supermax Florence prison. So those were the 10 most...
Crazy.
Man, if you in Florence prison, bro, just know they ain't never getting out. They ain't never seen light of day anymore.
That is
crazy. They expect them to just die in there. For real. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
But, hey, these was wild. They
were.
Like these movie types. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was saying with the one with the was it the Unabomber? I wanted to watch his Netflix series.
Oh, okay.
But hey, with that being said, y'all let us know in the comment section down below. Let us know y'all thoughts and opinions on this list. Which one was surprising for you? The one that was surprising the most was Larry Hoover, bro. I didn't expect him to be that
You just
hot.
wasn't expecting him to be on here. But the craziest one for me that was on here was the one where the guy was in the solitary.
For 30 years?
For 30 years, yeah.
For killing all them folk, what, in prison?
Well,
He been in jail since he was 19.
And that one was like, really?
Like, you just couldn't stop, bro.
Yeah.
You just kept going up and up, man. But, hey.
But yeah, the Larry Hoover one was surprising to be on here.
To be on here,
yeah.
With that being said, man, y'all let us know how y'all feel about it. But as always, I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are?
Kid and C.
We are.
Go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from